In this video, I'm going to be showing you a very good point to start because I keep receiving messages from people on Instagram, on TikTok. It got me thinking and I felt like, okay, today, given that I've got quite a number of decent items to send out, I'm just going to talk about this and give you, some little insight to what you can actually start with doing before you think of, flipping stuff like this. This is a computer that I sold on eBay. Beautiful PC, decent sale. It's still very rusty, very dusty right now. I still have to kind of clean it up just to put it in order. But the thing is, when people reach out to me, I'm just kind of wondering, I'm just kind of hesitant to mention the amount for which this PC has been sold because I noticed something on this YouTube street. You see, each time I come here on YouTube to say, look, a computer has sold, I receive a lot of pushback whenever I mention the amount because, truth be said, electronics are just very emotional, articles. They are emotional stuff to actually sell online. People want to know how much it was sold for. People want to know if you had a good deal, selling it or buying it. So each time I mention that, look, just to give you an example, the last PC I made a video of that sold for 503 euros or thereabout. And I did mention it in the PC sold for so much. Man, I received a lot of comments, people saying, no, I do not think this PC is worth the price, Why would somebody pay so much? This is a scam. Why would somebody pay so much for such a PC? This PC in worst case situations shouldn't actually sell for more than 100 euros. So many disheartening comments, So going forward, I just felt like, I'm just going to mention that this item I've sold and I'm pretty much not going to mention the price of which it's sold for. This is a HP EliteDesk 800 G3 PC with a 1TB SSD, 32GB DDR4 RAM sold. But I'm not going to be shipping this today because, like I said, there are still some few things I actually need to do with this PC. But I'm just going to go to the reason why I am making this video today. There are other smaller items that sold because a few days ago, eBay did shine, their light on my shop. And I also did make a video about it that, look, whenever you receive the slightest indication that, look, eBay is actually giving you traffic, the best thing you want to do is to make sure that you are taking advantage of the traffic that you are receiving on the platform, which is you want to go ahead and list a lot. List as much as you can because sometimes you just notice that things are selling more than usual. And this is eBay actually telling you, we have found your shop and we want to bless you, want to make you make sales. And you see that you are selling first item, second item, third items in a shop that you naturally do not sell all the time. When your average sales per day is just like, say, 2 or 3 items, and from nowhere, you receive 5, 6, 7 orders. You didn't do anything extraordinary. Just understand that eBay is trying to tell you something that, look, we have found your shop and we want to bless you. We want to send customers your way. We want to send buyers your way, So the best thing you want to do is to make sure that you quickly list items, which I also did, This I did, and all the items that were listed actually went ahead to sell. It's amazing, So, but then that's not the issue. The issue talked about, this was a graphic card that sold. Once again, I'm not going to make mention of the amount for which it sold just to avoid any form of unnecessary comment. An NVIDIA GeForce GT 710 graphic card, 2GB DDR3, sold for pretty decent price and going to be shipped out. I'm just going to grab a carton and try to put it in so that we can move on with the discussion. All right. So yes, I was saying that I receive a lot of requests, people saying, how do I start to sell computers? But then computers are expensive items and they are just what it is. They are expensive. You have to know what you are doing to be able to pull it off. And if you are not careful, they can actually set you back, You buy 2, 3, 4, 5 wrong computers, they can just set you back a lot of euros, a lot of dollars. They can set you back. They can set you back to the tune of $100, $200, $400 if you are not careful. So you actually have to know what you are doing to be able to pull it off. Of course, if you are kind of determined, you can actually go ahead and start to learn. If you don't want to pay a guru to teach you, I don't consider myself a guru. I consider myself to still be learning this game, but I learned by actually taking a lot of risk. I lost a lot of money, like I always say on this channel. Would I do it again? I wouldn't recommend it. If I have the option of just doing it once again, I'd rather look for somebody that's doing what I'm doing or what you are about to do and just pay the person to put you on the game. All right. But then if you want to begin to discover things yourself, one thing I can advise is that you want to start with little items. All right. That was a graphic card. And I also have here some SSDs that have sold. Once again, the price is not going to be mentioned just to avoid any form of unnecessary pushback. All right. Yes, you want to start with stuff like this. These things actually do sell on eBay. You list them today. If the price is right, you can actually go ahead to sell them on the same day. This was actually listed the moment I realized that eBay was actually giving me a lot of traffic. What I did do was to list a lot of the small items I have, because one strategy you can use to actually, increase your sales is that just list cheap items, because when you list them and they are selling, the algorithm sees that your account is kind of very active and busy. And whenever the algorithm sees things like that, it wants to go ahead and bring you bigger transactions. Of course, you're not just going to fill your shop with cheap items, otherwise you're not going to make any profit. Have some high ASP items. Also have some cheap items that, yes, you just have a perfect mix. This is all I can actually, advise. All right. See, you want to start with smaller items like this, because with this, you can actually go ahead to test the waters, see if this is something that you like to do. All right. You want to learn how to sell electronics on eBay. I would not advise that you start with selling very expensive laptops or very expensive PCs. You can actually start with smaller articles like this. They are SSDs, they are graphic cards, they are cables, they are hard drives. There are so many other little things. They are replicators, they are power supplies for laptops, for tablets, just a lot of things that you can actually start to buy cheaply and get used to listing items, get used to actually, shipping out items, and just generally acquaint yourself with what it takes to selling online. Because at the end of the day, you might never tell if it is something that you would enjoy. It's always best test out things and see if it's something you enjoy doing. Then you can go ahead and just now gradually start to scale up a little bit, But if you just want to start out, you have a few €100 or a few $100. The worst thing you want to do is to put all of your capital on expensive items, because there's the possibilities that the items don't sell because you do not know what you don't know. You don't know what items sell. You don't know the condition of items that tend to sell. Just so many small things in between that you need to learn. And the only thing I can actually say is just start as small as you can, because by you starting out small, first of all, you're going to see if you will enjoy the process. And then gradually, you're going to be trying to discover how to get, suppliers. And over time, you're just going to test and see, gradually start to learn the items that tend to sell. And, it's just going to help you to minimize the losses that you would make, because truth be said, if you want to sell electronics on eBay, just be prepared to make losses. There are going to be times where you're going to lose a lot of money. There's just no way you can circumvent that. It is what it is. There are just so many things that can go wrong at the same time. All right. Something like this, you might actually get things like this for very cheap. Sometimes for, $2, $3. Sometimes you can even get them so cheap that the price will literally just be free, because when you start to buy things in bulk, you can actually save a lot of money. At the end of the day, some items just tend to come literally free. When you buy items in bulk, there's just no way you can actually make losses, except you are just buying only defective items. If the items you are buying and you already have a supplier that you already have a very good understanding with, there's just no way you can make losses if you buy items in bulk. I'm just taking a look at the edge here, because sometimes some of the power supplies tends to get defective just right about this point. And one thing you want to do is to really check that it's still okay. Although the best check is for me now to get a HP laptop and just plug it on. But I feel like these are very good quality stuff. I've sold a lot of them already and never ever had any problem selling them. So this is just one that was in the lot. I believe it should still be in very, very good working condition. All right. So some of these things you can actually get for very cheap. I can't really remember how much this was, but I really want to imagine that this is not going to be more than €1 or $1, depending on where you live, because these were items that were bought, they were parts of a bigger lot of other items. So not like I went to the thrift store looking for a 120 watts power supply. These are things that came in a bigger lot of items. So when you get stuff like this, you can actually begin to test how to list items, test how the customers react to your packages. When your items get delivered, are they happy to receive it? Do they complain of the condition in which the item is? Are they satisfied with your shipping service? Did they want a refund? Are the items actually meeting the needs of the buyers? These are the things you want to actually check. And the moment you can actually get some momentum selling stuff like this, that will be a very, very good signal for you to begin to see how you can gradually scale up things. If you just want to start out with selling expensive PCs, expensive laptops, expensive workstations, this might not be the best strategy. The problem is, if you make a loss and if you're not careful, because you are so angry or you're so sad of the loss that you've made, you might just want to give up entirely. And this is why it's not the best when you start with expensive stuffs like that, all right? See, there are so many benefits of starting out with cheap stuffs like this because we can actually really see if it is something that you enjoy doing for a very, very long time. Truth be said, reselling is a long game, If you are coming to this reselling with the aim of being rich in 6 months, then you might want to consider doing something else because it's not going to happen, except you are an outlier. And in this game of reselling, sometimes being an outlier is also very hard to come by because you are buying physical goods. And as long as the goods are not coming to you for free, yes, you will always be talking about your profit margin. If you have to buy the item, the moment you begin to factor in the cost of buying the item and eBay shipping and all that stuff, you will certainly realize that, look, there's going to be a cap on your profit. You're not going to make unlimited profit. The only condition that can happen is when you get the items for free. And in that case, you are just making an abnormal kind of profit. But a lot of you guys, I want to imagine that you are actually going to be buying this stuff and then reselling them. I'm not going to rule out the fact that at some point, you're going to hit a home run. Yes, it's always going to happen. For me, sometimes 2-3 times a year, there's always that home run. The last time I hit a home run was I think about 100 pieces of some laptops I got for very, very cheap. That was a major, very major home run for me. All right. But then a lot of you're going to be buying stuff, and sometimes in the beginning, you're not going to be getting the best price because if you start out with a supplier, you just have to take your place. Understand that you are not the first buyer from that supplier. There are other resellers also buying the same stuff. And some have been with the supplier for years. And some of those people, they tend to enjoy the best discounts. It might take a lot of time for you to be in that league, So as to avoid the kind of losses that you'll be making, the good thing you want to do is to start with cheap, easy to find stuff like this because first of all, these items are not going to stress you to get them. It's very easy to get this stuff. If you go to, Craigslist, you go to Facebook Marketplace, you go to, pretty much everywhere you can get stuff like this. Only if you know how to look for them, all right? Yeah, because sometimes I might just say now that it's easy to get this stuff. You also have to know how to actually look for them. But if you put in some minimum effort, you can actually get these items to buy easily. And then when you buy them, some of these items, they're also not complicated to test out. So you really don't need to be very tech savvy to be able to actually test and see if a hard drive is working. That's a 500 gigabytes HDD, sold pretty cheap and sold also pretty quick on eBay. These are some of the items I listed just a few days ago when the algorithm was from nowhere suddenly blessing my shop, right? Sold pretty quick. I still have a lot of them. This is the beautiful thing. So I do not have to create a new listing. All I need to do is just to, increase the quantity of the listing and the listing is active again. This is one beautiful thing I like about the eBay platform. When your item is sold, the listing doesn't get deleted. You actually have the option of just going back, to increase. Sorry, guys, this tape is very loud. This tape dispenser is very loud. I still feel like I want to change it. Ideally, this is what I should be using, but I don't know. I just keep reaching out to this, and each time I start using it, I don't want to start changing the tape. So I think I just have to keep it somewhere else so that I don't have to use it again, all right? So where was I? I was saying that, yes, these items, you don't need to really be very, very tech savvy to be able to test these items. With minimal effort, you should be able to figure out how to test these things. And if you actually can get your hands on a few of this stuff, first of all, because they are easy and cheap to buy, you can actually go ahead and buy a lot of them, So if you are starting out on a very new eBay shop, if you want to buy expensive items, there's just going to be a limit to what you can put on the shop, But if you have a lot of these kind of items, it's an SSD, Samsung 256 gigabyte SSD. Because they are going to be coming to you for cheap, you can actually go ahead and buy different type of these, different models, different manufacturers. You have Samsung, you have Intel, you have Micron, you have quite a lot of them that you can actually lay your hands on. You have Western Digital, you have Crucial. The list goes on and on and on. If you can buy these things for cheap, then you can actually go and populate your shop with stuff like this. So anybody coming to your shop, taking a look at it, sees that, oh, this person has a lot of items to sell, look like a serious seller. Because of that, you just increase the possibility that you actually sell an item. But if you go ahead to buy one expensive laptop, for example, you buy a Lenovo laptop, and if nobody is buying that laptop, you are just going to be stuck, First of all, your money is going to be tied down. There's no way you can quickly bring out your money. And because you just have pretty much one item on your shop, if people are not buying it, they are not buying it. But the way it is with these other items, if somebody is coming to your shop and is not buying a Samsung SSD, perhaps you want to consider buying a power supply for a laptop. And if not a power supply, maybe a replicator. The more items you can actually list, you just increase the odds that you will be selling something. And the thing is, when you are starting out reselling, you really do need the feedbacks. That feedback, they are very, very important, because you need the feedback. You need to see what people are talking about your processes. Believe me, if you sell electronics, people will always give you feedbacks, because people don't want to buy an electronic that they will not be able to use. I have a situation right now. Somebody bought a complete computer for about 404 euros last year, thereabouts end of November. And now the person wants to return it because he says it doesn't work as expected, which I don't really believe, because the problem he has described, it looks more like a user problem. He doesn't know what settings to actually adjust to get optimum performance from the PC, whatever. So feedbacks you need to get as much as possible, and the more items you have on your shop, the more you are quickly able to gather these feedbacks. The idea is the moment you receive feedbacks, you can actually go back to your drawing board and see what you have done that you have not done correctly. These feedbacks, they are very, very important, because if you do not pay close attention to feedbacks, then you will not be able to actually move to the next stage, because your customers or your buyers might be telling you something that's wrong. They might be telling you that your shipping time is actually too long, because the thing about computer parts is that people are actually buying this part because they need it urgently. Somebody is using his desktop PC, the hard drive suddenly crashes. The person just needs a new hard drive, a replacement as soon as possible. They don't want to buy it only to receive it 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days later. They want to get it the next day if it's possible. So when you are selling, stuff like hard drives, and you are getting the feedback from your customers, they are telling you, yes, the item is in good condition, but the problem is it just came too late. This is a signal for you to go back and see how you can actually change your processes, see if it's possible to ship out items on the same day they were ordered, or at the latest the next day. And you also want to take a look if you can actually change your shipping service, because there are some shipping service that just sees to it that items are not shipped out promptly. You want to use priority service. I ship with DHL, and I ship my items as packets. As soon as I take it to the post office, the driver comes around, picks it up, and the item is already on its way to the buyer. Sometimes the item gets shipped out today, the buyer receives it the next day. So the more feedback you can actually get, the better it's going to be for you. You're going to actually make your learning curve a little bit faster if you can just learn to list a lot of items, just at the beginning, list a lot of SSDs, list some cables, list HD hard drives, list power supplies, list processor coolers, just increase the net you are casting out into the river, because all these nets are going to give you, something called feedbacks. And with this feedback, you can actually improve your processes. The feedbacks you're going to get are not just going to be, how is your shipping service? How is the item you are selling? Are they in good working condition? You also will be getting feedbacks that will tell you what items people are selling. Right now, when I go to the market to buy, SSDs, there are some SSDs I would never attempt to buy, no matter how cheap they are, because I already got the feedback many years ago, and I know that this SSD, nobody's going to buy it from you. There are just some brands that are regarded as the blessed brands. These are the brands that people want to buy. The market knows this. The buyers also know that these are the brands that kind of just works well for a number of PCs, doesn't matter if it's a laptop, whatever it is, So these are the things. So the more you can get these feedbacks, the more you can actually, accelerate your learning curve And the moment you begin to get better with these things, you can gradually now begin to buy more expensive items like small desktop PCs, not too expensive. Keep testing the waters. Thereafter, you can actually move on to the big boy transactions, the workstations, 600, 700, 800 euro PCs, and you actually sell them and make profit. Of course, there's a lot of money to be made. There's also a lot of work to be made. And sometimes there's a lot of stress that also comes to you. It is what it is. It doesn't matter what you sell. There's always going to be that stress that comes from somebody receiving your item. The person is not satisfied, wants to return it, or the person receives your item. The person is just not happy with the fact that you sold the item so expensive. There are so many things that might just make people just not happy with you. And if you are decided to be a reseller in this category, you have to be ready for things like this. Of course, there's going to be also time where you're going to be having a very beautiful time. You're going to be having decent customers. They're going to be buying and giving you very motivating feedback. You're going to be buying and people coming back again to say, look, I bought this thing the first time. It was so good. I want to buy again from you. These are motivations that you also receive. So it's not just going to be a long tail of war. There's going to be times where things are really going to be very, very good. Like now for me, I pretty much say that things are really fine. Just some few weeks ago, there was a shitty week. It was just one return to the next, and that was just how the story was going. But in the last 2 weeks, things have been pretty quiet. Sales are moving the way it should be. Of course, are receiving their items. No major complaints. Even those that had little complaints, I'm writing them. I'm also prioritizing now, responding very promptly to my buyers. This is also something I have noticed may also go a long way in keeping you, on good standing, especially when it comes to eBay rating, placing your offers on the search, and so on and so forth. I hope this video helps you. Sorry, I was just all over the place, but this is what it is. If you are multitasking, you are trying to pack something, trying to read the invoice, trying to make sure that the item you are sending out is the same as the label you are placing on it. Sometimes your brain just gets a little bit rusty. But of course, if this video gets the feedback that I expect, which is people click on it, people like the video, and people watch it to the end, then I might go ahead and even dig deeper into this topic, put you on a good way, what you should do to see that you don't get your hand burnt trying to resell IT hardware in specifics or even electronics in general on eBay or on any platform of your choice. Until I see you again in the next one, peace.